Joining us right here on ET Now is a very, very special voice. And as the political saga unfolds in Kashmir, the valley's future seems to be very uncertain. And who better than the man who's been there, who's been talking to people, and who's right now in Srinagar. Yashwant Sinha joins us right here on ET Now. Thank you very much, sir, for being with us. Apart from being the former Finance Minister, he's also somebody who's deeply engaged with the political turmoil in Kashmir for years now. My first question to you really has to be with this bitter divorce that has happened between the BJP and the PDP. It took 3.5 years for the BJP to realize that the alliance wasn't working. Does the divorce come as a surprise to you at all?
No, it doesn't, in fact, because, it was to begin with a completely unnatural alliance between the BJP and PDP, and this was bound to fail. Divorce was bound to take place. The BJP has chosen the best moment for it, where it suits it to make it into a issue for the 2019 elections. So they have done it at this point of time. So it is very unfortunate that the very serious issue of Jammu and Kashmir has been reduced to the level of being a pawn in the hands of the political masters in Delhi, who will now use it for the 2019 elections. This will be a very important issue. That is the unfortunate part, but let me tell you, because I am speaking to you from Srinagar, that people here are happy because the government was not delivering, and people knew that it could not deliver also, given all the differences within the government. So they are happy that that government has gone.
So in some sense, you do believe that the BJP and the PDP alliance had run its full course. They perhaps did not have the moral authority to bridge the divide between Jammu and Kashmir. But I will go back to a point that you made earlier, that this decision has been made with an eye on general elections 2019. Apart from obviously, delivering the message that this soft handling is not going to work and there will be a more macho, hardline stance that the BJP will take in the valley, what is the larger cue that India must draw from this? Is there a larger cue that we can draw as far as political strategy from 2019 viewpoint is concerned?
You see, in the last few days or few months, nothing at all has happened for this very sudden move on the part of the BJP and the government of India. Things have been happening in Jammu and Kashmir, especially in the valley. Things are happening now. There are encounters going on between terrorists and security forces. That encounter is going on in Pulwama even today at this point of time. So nothing sudden had happened for the BJP and the government of India to take this step. So the only reading of the situation could be that it is a political move, and it's a political move with an eye on 2019 elections.
Mr. Sinha, Mehbooba Mufti said in as many words that she decided to go with the BJP 3.5 years back, despite having offers to form the government from both the Congress and the National Conference, because she thought Mr. Modi had won a very strong mandate, and Jammu and Kashmir will find a permanent solution, which is why she went ahead with an alliance with a seemingly ideologically contradictory ally like the BJP. My question to you really is that Mr. Modi has the strongest mandate in the last 3 decades. If Mr. Modi and his government and his party have been failed to find a solution to Kashmir, I sometimes wonder who will.
Well, I see no reason why we should be so completely despondent. Yes, Mr. Modi had a very, very good chance to bring peace to Jammu and Kashmir. Unfortunately, that has not turned out to be as expected. And, the agenda of alliance, which was prepared by both sides as a common piece of paper, was supposed to be the charter for this government. But then, unfortunately, the agenda of alliance remained a dead letter, and neither the government of India nor the government of the state acted upon it. It was actually more for action on the part of the government of India. But government of India did not act on it, so they did not fulfill the promises made in the agenda of alliance, and that made the situation of the government even more untenable. And that's why I'm saying that it is an admission of failure on the part of the BJP and on the part of the government of India, because they are the ones who have pulled out.
But Mr. Sinha, do you expect a more muscular policy as far as the valley is concerned? I mean, both Omar Abdullah and Mehbooba Mufti in their press conferences said a muscular policy is not what is warranted in the region. But do you fear that is perhaps what we will see? And if I may ask you a more pragmatic question from New Delhi's point of view, it is not as if dialogue has yielded a lot of result. Where does the solution then really lie? Who should you be talking to as far as dialogue is concerned? Should you be talking to the stone pelters who hurl stones at school children and tourists and perhaps act as proxies for Pakistan? Who should you be really having a dialogue with?
You see, we have tried a muscular policy for the last 30 years in Jammu and Kashmir, and it has not worked. We haven't had a serious dialogue with the stakeholders as they are mentioned in various documents by the government of India. Even in this government, the attempt which was made about a few months ago by the appointment of a so-called interlocutor has not worked because his mandate was not clear. So he has not been able to create any impression here. Now, as people are suspecting, even in this place, Srinagar, from where I am talking to you, that a more muscular, hard policy will be put in place, at least as far as the valley is concerned, then it's going to only create a more untenable situation, because like Omar Abdullah and like Mehbooba Mufti, I am also convinced that a muscular policy is not going to pay. And ultimately, we will have to have a dialogue. And if you ask for my recommendation will be dialogue with all, with everyone who is prepared to talk to you, and dialogue on all issues. So let's not put the question of dialogue under this bracket and that bracket and restrict it. You must come out with an open mind and talk to everyone.
Suggesting a dialogue with Pakistan, because, you know, as a journalist who's tracked this government for the last 3.5 years, I am somehow seemingly confused with this blow hot, blow cold policy engagement that we've had with Pakistan. I mean, if I am left confused, I wonder what does this do to stakeholders and also to our armed forces at one level?
No, ultimately, because Pakistan continues to occupy a big portion of Jammu and Kashmir, the old Riyasat. Therefore, we'll have to talk to Pakistan if we want a permanent solution here. But for the time being, there are many issues between the government of India and the people here. Those issues can be resolved through a bilateral dialogue with stakeholders in Jammu and Kashmir. And there, I don't see any role for Pakistan. If, for instance, we are using pellet guns, what is the advice that Pakistan is going to give us with regard to that? But it is a very sensitive issue here. So the point I'm making is begin with a dialogue with our own people in Jammu and Kashmir, define the stakeholders, and at some point of time, we'll have to start a dialogue with Pakistan also.
I guess that's a realization that our political class will have to come to, because no political grandstanding is going to amount to the valley solutions that we really need to find after all these years. But Mr. Sinha, at the end of this government's tenure, at the end of 3.5 years, as Mehbooba Mufti resigns and as the governor rules and the president rule really looks imminent now, is there a deeper divided Jammu and Kashmir that you're witnessing as you sit in Srinagar? Is there a deeper fissure, a deeper fault line that exists between the Hindu-dominated Jammu and the minority, the Muslim-dominated Kashmir Valley?
Yes, quite clearly, because you see, the whole raison d'etre for forming this government was to bring the mandate that BJP received in the Jammu region and the PDP received in the Kashmir Valley and elsewhere, to bring the regions together and have a government which will be able to deliver. Now, unfortunately, the government remained in its own various compartments, and there was absolutely no common thread running through it. Mahbooba was following her line, BJP was following their line, and therefore the question of this government being able to perform never arose. I mean, we have been coming to Kashmir, and every time you talk to people, they are full of complaints against the non-performance of the government, and that's why perhaps people here are happy that the government has gone.
Mr. Sinha, two quick last questions, and one of them has to be with a larger question that comes out of this political scenario and what we are witnessing in India today. Is there perhaps no room for the middle path, for the middle of, for the center dialogue to happen? Because dialogue seems to be extremely polarized. I mean, whether it's the Valley or whether it's the rest of India, the soft healing touches don't seem to be bearing fruits, and which is why political class on both ends of the political spectrum is really looking at a very polarized political scenario in this country. Is there no room left for the middle path at all?
I would continue to remain optimistic, and I would say that there is room for the middle path, there is room for dialogue, and despite the fact that this kind of acute polarization has taken place, this should not be encouraged. Jammu and Kashmir should not be divided on the basis of religion among the regions, and a holistic approach is what is going to ultimately pay, and therefore it's very important that the communal divide is bridged. It is not allowed to be brought into play, and we should show statesmanship, and as I said, begin a dialogue.
A last question then, sir, is one of the lessons that the opposition should draw from this the fact that unnatural allies, contradictory ideologies don't last their full term. They may serve an opportunistic political, maneuvering for a while, but they don't really last for long. Is there a lesson to be learned? Because we are seeing very quick sand dune kind of alliances coming up across the other political spectrum as well.
No, we have seen this. This is not the first time that this is happening. It has happened in the past also, that unnatural and unlikely combinations have not worked. They have collapsed. This alliance in Jammu and Kashmir was also bound to collapse, and it has collapsed under the weight of its own contradictions. But most certainly, political parties have to be very careful with regard to what kind of coalition government they form. I mean, there is a lesson that completely contradictory coalitions will not work, and two, that if you work out a common minimum program and agenda of alliance, then please, for God's sake, stick to it and don't give it a go-by. Okay?
I think you used a phrase which is the weight of their own contradictions does make political alliances fall out. But thank you very, very much, Mr. Yashwant Sinha. A very clear thinking, a very moderate voice as far as Kashmir is concerned, joining us right here. Mr. Sinha pointing out there that while being in Delhi may be talking about a death of democracy, the people on the ground perhaps are breathing a sigh of relief because the BJP PDP coalition had outrun its relevance and they had come to a point where governance had become impossible.